Yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna bring those guys in. What's the schedule gonna look like? Oh, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Right?
It's almost like they're trying to figure out how to record a episode of My God a Podcast.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In the season 4 premiere episode, John Powell and I get caught up on what's happened since we last talked. We talk about G-Day, a new UGA, the NFL draft, a little recruiting, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media, My God a Podcast. Finally, we want to thank Oxia Time for being our presenting sponsor last season. Be sure to check them out at oxiatime.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Was this our longest hiatus we've had? Might be close.
Probably.
I'm close to it.
It's definitely the longest between like fake outs of hey, we're recording and then we don't record.
Good to be back. Sorry, mostly my bad, but I don't know. Off-season schedules can get weird at times. So,
yeah, I 1,000% blame you.
I think that's fair.
How many times did I joke in the text threads like it'd be nice if we could record a podcast?
Right. Yeah, seriously. My bad. But freeing up more these days. Should have time to get some more off-season content. But I mean, we had some ideas of some other things to do, but kind of figured we hadn't talked in a while, so maybe we should just catch up.
Yeah, might as well. There's been a few things that have happened between the last time that we recorded and now.
I know this is definitely the latest we've recorded after G-Day, which like I was trying to remember because like it's the last 2 years has been like right with our spring break, last several years really, but like I know like last year G-Day I think was the day I was driving to the beach on spring break. This year it was like at the end of our spring break. And your spring break was what, the week before ours, right? So I think we were both out of town right around there from what I can remember.
Yep. Carter had baseball going on as well. That was another thing that was happening too. So
that's right. The sports,
it's pretty much spring break in baseball. Yep. The sports balls are always problematic for us parents.
Yeah. We're picking up a new thing next year. I haven't told you this yet.
Is it pickleball?
Oh, I didn't even have that in the show notes to discuss. Just kidding. No,
the newfound wood pastime.
Pickleball is amazing. Highly recommend. If you used to play tennis like me, you can pick it up fairly quickly, but it's a nuanced game. There's some differences. No, so Lily's off to high school next year. So we have 2 high schoolers in the fall. And
crazy.
Lily she decided as of yesterday, she had said she didn't want to do it. Now she does. She changed her mind. She's going to be doing the marching band. Yeah. So,
okay.
So we'll have, like all the Friday night lights going on in the fall at the local high school. So
we're gonna have My God a Podcast on location for recruiting purposes.
Hey, if there's anyone big that's coming through playing against Cox Mill High School in Concord, North Carolina, I'll be on the scene.
Nice.
I popped my bourbon and I didn't mention what it was. I've got the Old Forester 1920 tonight. Have felt a bit of a cold starting to come on, and this is what I use to knock those out. So trying to do that tonight.
Knocking out those summertime cobwebs.
Yeah.
I have Old Granddad bonded, the old stalwart 100 prover.
It's so good. It's such a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about that? I bought the Old Granddad 114 and then I left it somewhere.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Where'd you say you were? I can't remember where you.
I left it at my parents' house on Fripp. Yeah, I bought it over spring break and then I forgot to bring it home. So, Dad, if you're listening, there's a bottle of Old Granddad 114 at Fripp waiting for you.
He's like, well, there was.
Yeah.
It's all gone now.
Oh man. So I guess I think we had a couple of things we wanted to catch up on, and then we'll probably get into some more like things that are happening right now. But you know, we mentioned GD briefly. Like, did you have any major takeaway from it?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was, people that know me around here, they ask, like, hey, you think Georgia's going to be good? Like, I couldn't really tell from G Day. And it's like, well, you're not really, it's not really designed to show you much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I would look at the first quarter, right? You just look at the very beginning, because that felt like the most like good on good, even though I don't know that that's necessarily true for the defensive side. But
Yeah.
all things being equal, the first quarter or so was supposed to be like, the best versus the best, right? And then they like started shaking things up as time wore on, particularly on the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
Beck looked really sharp in that period of good on good, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I don't know if they designed it that way or what, but he definitely looked sharp. So it gives me hope for the future. I'm guessing that we're probably not going to put him in spots where he's going to have to do too much, because our defense is going to be so like ridiculous again. So it's probably going to be a lot like last year, where they're not going to really ask him to do too much, and as long as he protects the ball and makes good decisions and makes his reads, we should be fine. I I actually said this to a guy earlier today, when I was hanging out at Carter at Camden's swim team. That had a little thing, and I was talking to one of the dads who's also an alum, and he was asking me about it, and I said, the one thing that kind of always has been in the back of my head, and I can't remember who brought it up on the text thread, on the Dog Central text thread, but the thing that always kind of bothers me about this team is always going to be just in the back of my head, and it's, for better or for worse, it's Stacey Searles and our ability to keep the offensive line like up to par, up to what we've been used to. So we've seen some 3-stars coming through, which is kind of like, we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah.
So it's, what was it Lamar who said that he was like the king of the 3-star like diamond in the rough recruits?
Yeah.
So I think that I'm going to be watching the offensive line basically from now on and seeing how it goes, because that's going to be, if we can keep Carson Beck clean, like I think we're going to have a good a better shot of three-peating than we already do.
Yeah, man, I thought you and Stacy like buried the hatchet when you guys shared a moment after either Tennessee or Tech, whenever that was last year. John, I don't know how I feel about this.
We did have a nice moment, and I did bury the hatchet, but gosh darn it, he keeps recruiting these 3-star offensive linemen, and it really bothers me. I'm like, bro, we've been pulling 5-star and 4-star offensive linemen for the last like 4 or 5 years. Like, why are we doing this?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I was pretty much watching for quarterback play as well. We had heard some things coming out of spring, like weren't really sure what we were hearing, like what's Beck looking like. But he, I don't know, to me, he really separated himself there. So, which is what I was hoping to see someone do that. I guess the surprising thing to me was that all 3 guys that are already here stayed. So we were able to keep Vandegrift and Stockton. I mean, I don't think there was much thought of Stockton leaving, but Vandegrift, I'm impressed that the staff was able to, keep him in the fold, which is a good thing, right? You always want to have that depth. So, but yeah, because I was kind of wondering, like, if someone kind of stood out in G Day, could there be like a QB exodus kind of thing? And the staff was able to keep that room intact, which is good.
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, what's going on, because you saw a lot of shuffling in the offseason with the transfer portal. I'm wondering if guys are, hitting the portal thinking that they might be able to get a better situation, a better deal, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We've heard Nick Saban talk a little bit about that this week, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe what happened is that he thought that maybe he thought that he'd get out, but they tested the waters, and nothing better than playing for the back-to-back national champions.
Yeah, seriously. Sorry, had to bring back the portal noises. My bad.
The portal has returned.
Uh, yeah, no, for sure, totally agreed. Okay, I guess the other thing that happened at G Day was the collaring of the new UGA. So Q is no longer UGA on the sidelines, and we've switched to Boom, which I really just mainly wanted to mention so that we could say Boom on the podcast because we hadn't talked since then. What a name!
What a name! What a name for this team, for this coaching staff. So obviously having Muschamp on staff just makes that extra special. I'm wondering if that was part of the reason for actually picking him.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like when they named him, could that have been part of it? We don't know. I don't know yet. We'll have to put glasses on it and figure that out.
Someone's gonna have to get the story behind Boom.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't we used to have like that was something that I always thought was Lauren and Larry were always good about like explaining some of the names. Like I remember there was one in particular, it was like McGillicuddy or something like that. Like
yeah.
Like that, and it was like a super long name, but like then he had a short name.
Right. Seriously.
But here, no, we just have Boom. Just Boom. Boom and
it's
Q.
just Boom. Yeah. Yeah. No, and like the shorter ones were usually like the shorter names were usually like the interim ones, like Otto was an interim.
Mm-hmm.
Russ initially was interim.
Right.
But the ones in the line, so I don't know. Boom may have a longer full name, maybe that we're just not privy to.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering. Like, what's the formal name there?
Right, exactly. And then, I guess a couple of the things that happened during our hiatus with the NFL draft, where we established, I guess, two things. Stetson did get drafted, and we now have the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Yes, the Philadelphia, the Georgia-Delphia Bull Eagles or Eagle Dogs or something like that.
I've got a buddy that went to Georgia Tech that's like a huge Eagles fan, and the last 2 years I've just been texting him like during the draft, like, dude, like what is going on here? And he's always like, he's like, like I hate it, but I also love it because I'm not gonna lie, like they're all amazing players.
Yeah, seriously, he's gonna have to become a little bit of a Georgia fan, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I lived just outside of Philadelphia in my younger days, briefly. I don't really remember living there, but they love to draft Georgia players, and the Falcons clearly do not. So, I'm not going to actually switch allegiances, but I do think it's funny to talk about.
I mean, I'm glad that we can thank you for all the good karma of bringing them to the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's all me through my friend and the fact that I lived there when I was very young.
Yeah,
but like I don't know, I feel like the bigger, I don't know how big it was, but like with Stetson, like all the talk of he's going to sell insurance and all these things. I mean, he's going to be the backup in LA. I mean, unless they bring somebody else in, they don't even have anyone else in the roster last I checked. Or they definitely didn't have draft. Like it was just Stafford. And like, let's face it, Stafford's getting up there. I'm not going to be shocked if we see Stetson in an actual, like, I'm not talking preseason, like in an actual game this year. I mean, if Stafford has to miss a snap, we're going to see Stetson in there.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. I mean, it's the likelihood is definitely higher. Let's just say that since he was drafted.
Yeah.
So high. Like everybody was thinking that he was going to be drafted in like the 6th round or something like that. So
yeah.
There were some people that were surprised that he was drafted at all. So, I mean, how many 4th round quarterbacks get to play? I guess that could be a dog stats post.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that I don't know. But I don't know, man. Pretty cool to see him go out there in LA too. He clearly enjoys playing in that building. So
yeah, seriously.
Which I rewatched a little bit of that the other day. Remember that time when we went back to back?
Hey, it was awesome.
Oh man, what a beatdown. Did you see? All right, I'm going off the rails. Did you see the Greg Sankey comment today around?
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. the biggest like mic drop moment.
All right, so I'll probably butcher this a little bit, but it was basically like someone was questioning like the SEC, the whole debate, right? Like 8-game schedule versus 9-game schedule, and he was like, if you're insinuating that we're trying to avoid playing the best competition, he's like, all you have to do is look at the national championship game. It was 65-7. Our conference isn't running from anyone. So I'm sure I messed up. That's not a quote, paraphrasing, but he definitely dropped the 65-7 in his answer, which was amazing.
Yeah, he did. It was kind of like it kind of came out of nowhere. Like basically, people were pressing him on like the SEC, like scheduling tougher games or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, the games are more competitive in the SEC than they are in the national championship game.
Right. Seriously, exactly. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. That was a good one. So anyway, sorry, I digress. I know we did want to talk about that a little bit. I guess the only other thing before we get, I know we've got a bunch of listener questions as well, but I think the only other thing was, we're not like a recruiting podcast, and we've got people that do a much better job covering recruiting over at Dog Central. But when you sign the number one quarterback, when you get a commitment from the number one quarterback in the class, that's a big deal. And especially talking about Dylan Raiola. And then obviously, we already had a commitment in the same class secured from Ryan. And here we definitely need Scott Howard pronunciation. I have no idea. Puglisi, I believe. Ryan Puglisi. To have 2 Elite 11 quarterbacks committed in the 2024 class is pretty cool.
Yeah. First off, let me back up. It's Raiola, right?
It is Raiola.
Raiola, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean he's what, the second highest graded player to commit/sign to UGA in the history of recruiting. So
yeah,
I don't who was number one. I guess that's probably a better question. Who was number one? I think it was John. John had mentioned that stat to us, like that he was like the second highest rated recruit that's ever committed to Georgia. So I didn't think about it then, but now I'm like, well, who's number one?
But who's number one?
It probably was like George Pickens or something like that. Or, who else could it have been?
Carry on. I'm going to ask him.
Carry on. Whenever you get the number one player in the country and the number one quarterback, and he's a legacy from, didn't his dad play at Nebraska or something like that?
Yes. And like his uncle is an assistant coach there right now.
Right. So you had all that going. Plus he was committed at some point to Ohio State, right?
Yes. He also was. Yep. He was an Ohio State commit, then decommitted, and now is committed to Georgia.
Right. So, I mean, all in all, obviously we just laid the smackdown on Ryan Day. So like, it's just like another one of those like, oh, this commitment went wide left.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to answer the question. It's someone we try not to talk about on the podcast anymore. There's my hint on who was the highest player that we ever signed.
I see it in the text thread. I'm not gonna dignify it with a response.
Shout out Will Morrison, a new contributor at Dog Central, for answering our question. So we're not going to talk about that, but I'm sure everyone knows who we're talking about.
Yes. He who shall not be named.
Amazing. All right. So the SEC, so the SEC meetings are going on, not the media days, because I'm going crazy. And I texted you. I was like, oh, it's SEC media days. We need to record like after Kirby talks. And I was like, wait a minute. Sorry. I'm like fast forwarding in the future. That's in July.
I was about to say, I was like, wait, what? Did I miss something?
No. I do. I just got all discombobulated in my head. Cause I remember seen like the schedule for the coaches and when they were talking, but that's, they really set like months out. So I was all messed up, but yeah. So the big talk kind of heading in, this was this whole 8 versus 9 games, schedule format changing, not this year, but the following year with Texas and Oklahoma coming in. I still haven't seen, we've seen coaches talking about it and all these kinds of things, but like, I'm curious to see if they even come up with an answer, like if they get it. And I'll do my kind of like old man get off my lawn moment briefly. Was like, I'm surprised that we've gotten to this point and we still haven't resolved this, like what the schedule's going to work, like how it's going to work. I feel like it just feels odd that this decision was made to bring more teams in, get to 16, and we don't know how we're going to operate. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah. It's almost like you've got like the other stuff that's going on right now in the world, right? You got like the politicians that are trying to figure out the whole debt ceiling, and it's like, guys, it's June 5th is like right around the corner, and we still haven't figured this out yet. Like, what is going on? Like, something's got to give here, right?
Right.
Like, and this is almost even worse because they've had months to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
We're going to bring those guys in. What's the schedule going to look like? Oh, I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's almost like they're trying to figure out how to record an episode of My God, a Podcast. I don't know. We'll just figure it out.
Oh man,
we'll do it live.
It's live. Oh, sorry, that hit a little too close to home. As I gathered myself. But no, yeah, like I don't know. My Twitter joke was like, I feel like Mike's Live would have never done such a thing. Like, I don't know. I feel because like I felt like a visionary and like really changed college football. And like, when the SEC expanded and had went to divisions and had the championship game and all those kind of things. I just feel like you come into something like this, you make such a huge move to bring in Texas, Oklahoma, and like you didn't have a plan, or maybe you had a plan. Now people are balking at it or something. So I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully they resolve it soon.
That's my thought. I'm thinking that they maybe thought that they could renegotiate with ESPN, and ESPN is in like financial turmoil right now. So like they're like, you guys have a contract. Like, no, we don't care.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that could be it. There could have been like a handshake kind of thing, and someone's going back on it.
The world economic situation centered around literally pretty much everything right now is in such limbo that I'm sure that they're just kind of like, yeah, if you guys want to do 9 games, that's fine with us, but we're contracted for whatever it is they're contracted for. I don't know how it works. If they were to just go ahead and add 9 games and just not get compensated for it, I don't know.
Right, because I mean the way the TV rights works, like, I guess it depends on how everything is worded, but like they're not increasing the total number of games, right? It's in theory, it increases the quality of the games. That you've got some more marquee matchups in theory. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they get it figured out soon.
What's your preference?
Okay, so let's hit the listener questions. That's actually our first question. So,
okay.
Brett Belding checking in. We'll start with that one. He had a non football question, but his first one was, what do you prefer, the 1-7 format with 8 games or the 3-6 format with 9 games? So, just to
I was about to say, let's do a little explainer.
Yeah.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so let's start with the 1-7. So it would be 8 games. The 1 means that everyone would have 1 permanent opponent. Okay. So the first thing is, with both of these models, divisions are gone. No divisions, right? So it's going to be like the teams with the 2 teams with the best record go to the SEC championship game. There will be no more East versus West champion kind of thing. No divisions at all.
In both scenarios?
Correct. In both scenarios, that's how it's going to be. So the first scenario is 8 games, 1-7, 1 permanent opponent, 1 permanent opponent, and then like 7 rotating, right? So like Georgia and Florida would be permanent opponents, one would assume, right? You'll have Alabama and Auburn, right? Like just all the natural ones, Mississippi State. Like those are going to be your permanent. So those games will happen every year. And then you'll play 7 other games, but you're going to go through some sort of rotation. You'll have like 3 teams roll off 4 on, right, every other year. And the benefit of that model and the other model, they're both set up so that in a 16-team league, every player, if you assume you're in school for 4 years, you get to play every team at your home stadium and at their stadium.
Okay.
Okay. So then the other one, if you go to 9 games, is the 3-6. So same thing. Every team would have 3 permanent opponents that they'd play every year. And then you'd have 6 opponents that would be, changing every year. So again, I think you'd have like 3 roll on, 3 roll off. You're alternating, right? But then they're not like, it wouldn't be like pods. So it'd be like, I'm going to make things up again. So like Georgia, Georgia's permanent opponents, I would say would probably be, again, Florida, Auburn. A lot of people have speculated South Carolina, right? But you don't like group those 4 teams together and they all play each other. Like Auburn would have Georgia as a permanent, Alabama as a permanent, and then, I don't know, LSU, right? So like you go through that. Everyone would have 3 teams that they play every year. You're alternating home and home. And then you have these 6, you'd rotate through the remaining schools as those 6 other opponents. So that one, but then there's 9 conference games, right? So you play a 9-game conference schedule, and then you'd have 3 non-conference games. With the 8-game conference schedule with a 1 permanent opponent, you still get to keep your 4 non-conference games.
Is in this scenario, are these the only 2 scenarios that are really being considered?
So that's a great question. And so something that Graham Coffey actually threw out was he had caught some wind of, he posted this on Dog Central. He had caught wind of actually having a 3-5 model where you would have 3, keep the 3 permanent opponents and then have 5 teams that rotated in and off the schedule for 8 games. He had heard some wind of that. I feel like that would be really hard to make the schedule. You remember, John, like last summer, I was obsessed with trying to come up with a model for the 3-6 because I was convinced it was going to happen. Dude, it is not easy. Like the 1-7 and the 3-6 are cleaner for making a scheduled model. I feel like the 3-5 would be kind of nasty. I'm sure someone could figure it out.
If these are the only 2 options, 3-6 sounds like it would probably be a better setup for the fans, so that we maintain the rivalries. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you go to 1-7, that means that you can only protect Auburn, Georgia, basically. And then so like there could be years that we don't play Florida, for example. Is that what I'm hearing?
It would probably be. It's going to be the opposite, right? Because they're going to play Auburn, Alabama every year, right? So we're not going to play Alabama or Auburn every year anymore. So Georgia, Florida.
I hate everything.
Right? Exactly. So that's back to my get off the lawn, my lawn moment is like, what are we even doing? Like we're adding these teams, Texas and Oklahoma, and then we're coming with this model where Georgia and Auburn can't play every year anymore. I mean, you're going to lose Georgia, Auburn. You might lose Alabama, Tennessee, like these like huge historic rivalries that, we're so accustomed to. I mean, if you go to the 1-7, you are losing Alabama, Tennessee.
How could we even be considered? Like, this isn't even really a conversation. Like, it's 3-6. Like, if these are the only 2 options, it has to be 3-6 to preserve even a remote semblance of what makes the SEC the SEC.
Exactly. So that's how I feel. I think it's some of the schools like there's like the Kentuckies they're worried about bowl eligibility and not being able to make bowl eligibility. I'm picking on Kentucky. I've heard that they are one of the teams that support 1-7. And then there's some other reasons about like, you might lose some of the marquee non-conference games. So like, is Georgia going to still schedule Oregon?
I don't care.
No, I agree. Like I would.
I don't care.
Like you're in theory, you're getting that now by playing Oklahoma and Texas every other year, right? Where we weren't playing them before.
Yeah, so, like we get to play like actual games that matter, as opposed to pretend games and neutral site games, and like at the end of the day, like how much money are we? Kind of like the Georgia Florida game, right? Like I guess that they make it so financially beneficial for us to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So even in the 9-game setup, well, I guess you would be de-incentivized from. You'd be de-incentivized from scheduling those games, I guess. Is that kind of the thinking?
From scheduling which games? Sorry, for like the non-conference games?
From scheduling a like Chick-fil-A kickoff type game with Oregon. Like, so if you have to play 9 conference games with Oklahoma and Texas, sprinkled in, the appeal of scheduling another opponent like an Oregon or like an Ohio State just becomes that much more like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's the fear. For the people that are kind of pump the brakes on nine games, that's kind of their point there. So I think there's an argument to be made either way. Like I can see where folks are coming from, but for me, it's got to be 3. I mean, again,
you have to preserve tradition. There has to be a tradition.
Exactly.
Preserved. Like we have to figure out some way to keep the things that make SEC football special and college football in general special. But like really, like I'm at the point now where it's like, you know, screw everyone else. I only care about what's going on in the SEC. Like screw like you guys do whatever the hell you want to do. Like we're gonna just do what the SEC does that makes us unique and special. Because frankly, it seems like everyone else is willing to abandon all of their traditions to come to the SEC. Like think about like the Texas and Oklahoma. Like they like what I get like, you know, we get to go back to the Texas A&M Texas game, and Texas and Oklahoma, you know, theoretically would be able to preserve some of their stuff. But like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, that's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what other big rivalries did Texas have in the Big 12 or whatever. Like was Texas Tech like a big thing, a big rivalry for them, or TCU or?
Yeah, I mean Texas Tech, I believe. Yeah, I don't know, man. See, this is where like I don't know, why are they even in the SEC? Sorry,
I don't even care.
Contract. My answer is contract. Go back to 12 teams. Kick somebody out.
Kick out. Yeah, let's kick out Vanderbilt and Kentucky, and all of our problems are solved.
Missouri, no, kick out Missouri. They're in the Midwest. They're in the Midwest. Okay,
kick out Missouri and Vandy.
All right, Brett. Hopefully that sufficed. He did say, "Do you have a favorite new bourbon you've tried since January?" I'm going to say Blanton's because I had Blanton's for the first time after January, so that's totally cheating, but it's true.
I haven't actually. I don't know that I've had any new bourbons lately. Like most of the stuff that I've been drinking lately has been stuff that I've had, or I guess I could say my infinity bottle because that changes all the time. I will say that I just recently tried. They were out of the proof cocktails. Had a Memorial Day cookout with a neighbor, and they were out of proof old fashioned stuff. Which, if you're familiar with these things, proof is a like syrup or whatever that has like all the fixins for an old fashioned. All you have to do is add the bourbon, basically. John Tweet Sports got me in on this. Fantastic product. They were out of it at the liquor store, so I tried the Woodford Reserve version. Which was cheaper, and it was also very good. So
nice.
That was a nice cocktail that I had recently.
Okay. Fair enough. Cool. All right, let's see. Next up, Lamar Lovelace, host of the 100 Sanford podcast, one of our fellow podcasts over at Dog Central. Make sure to go check them out if you have not yet.
That beautiful man, Lamar.
That's right. He's got the voice. Everything going.
The voice of an angel, the beard of a god.
All right. At what point, if any, will fans stop hating on Georgia's recent success and just recognize the great players that made it happen?
Never.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think like our fans or opposing fans,
just like in general. So it's the excuses thing, right? So like my quick thing is like I thought it was going to go away once we beat Alabama, right? It was like, we got to get over the hump and we have to beat Alabama. And then everyone just accepted Georgia is good, right? But then it's, Mechie and Williams are hurt, right? And then now it's, Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison was hurt, yeah.
Right? So like all these things, like what do we have to do to be like, yeah, Georgia's really good?
My favorite thing recently was that one of the Ohio State people said that they virtually beat Georgia.
I saw that. That was on like message board geniuses, right?
Yes,
that was great.
They virtually beat Georgia. So I guess that's probably the thing. Like I guess that what will shut people up is if we go out and just batter someone that's like a 2019 LSU team with all of their weapons, with all of their everything, and we do it despite any injuries on our side because no one ever cares about that,
right?
No one cares. No one cares about anything that we have that's hamstringing us. So like basically, we just have to beat a fully healthy 2019 LSU, and then people will say, okay, fine, you're good.
Yeah. No,
but even then, I feel like they wouldn't. Even then, I feel like they would just, I don't know, they'd be like, oh, Bullcook Kirby got lucky again.
Yeah. No, I agree. So yeah, it may
because then it'll be you won it with Carson Beck throwing for 200 yards and he didn't throw for 500. You know what I mean? It'll be some stupid like that.
Right. You've got to win like the way that folks want you to.
Yeah. Sorry, Carter.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, and I agree. Let's see, Bubby Dean. Is it an open invitation to the college football gods to smite Georgia, to smite the Georgia program for dog fans to prematurely boast about #dogs23Pete?
I feel like this was a word salad to say that he's Munsoning about dogs three-peat, and I'm here to tell you that Munsoning is dead.
Okay, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think he's saying like, can we go ahead and talk about it, or is that bad? And
no, I think we can absolutely talk about it because, like, you look at the schedule, and we have good reason to think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
The schedule itself is reason enough because, as we've shown, that all we have to do is make it to the playoff, and you look at that schedule, and it's like, well, where's the loss? And even if there is a loss, like, how could you? I don't know that there's a team in the country that you could keep out even if you had one loss.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's see. 51-7 GATA. With it being the off season, is there one vacation spot you would like to visit that you've not been to yet? He said for him it's Fenway Park. You got a spot?
Fenway Park feels like a really random vacation spot, but
I agree, but I think it could be anywhere.
To each his own. Yeah. If it's anywhere, for me, it's going to be the British Isles. I'd like to swing by and visit old British Bulldog and sleep on his couch for a few days, and then head down south to other venues along the British Isles, like Ireland, obviously Scotland, but Scotland, Ireland, and then I guess in the same vein as your Fenway Park, I'll tell you Old Trafford, Manchester United is like a bucket list item for me at some point in the future to go and see a game at Manchester United.
Yeah. On the sports front, like I have a bucket list, wish list to basically go to the tennis Grand Slam tournaments, and I have been to 0 of them to this point. But so Wimbledon. Somewhere I've always wanted to go to. Logan Booker, cover your ears. Logan hates Wimbledon. But
what? How does he hate Wimbledon but love the Masters? I don't understand.
He doesn't like breakfast at Wimbledon. I don't know. He's offended by it.
He doesn't like a full English. Is that what it is, or what's the breakfast at Wimbledon?
I don't know. They just say that. They say breakfast at Wimbledon. I don't know. That's the saying. You never heard breakfast at Wimbledon?
I don't know that I've ever heard him say that.
Oh yeah. That's what the people say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like on Championship Sunday, you have breakfast at Wimbledon. I don't know. I've always heard that.
But like, what does he hate about it? I don't understand.
Like, what does Logan hate about that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just quoting. There was a recent Second String rant about it.
Oh my gosh!
Super random for this time of the year. But
wait, is he talking about the strawberries and cream, or like?
Yeah,
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. All right. Okay. Fine. That's a little weird, but I feel like it's kind of like the pimento cheese for the Masters. Like,
fair
people outside of people that don't understand it are probably like, "What the hell are you talking about? This cheese sandwich? Like, what are these weird rednecks? Like, what?" In my finest British voice, like, what are you on about?
Amazing. So I guess that'd be mine. All right, let's hit this one quick because I think we have the same opinion. Uniform Twitter, also from 51-7 GTA. Someone has to ask it. Will we see black jerseys in 2023? He says no. What do you say, John?
Is Kirby Smart still the head coach? Just checking.
He is.
No.
Agreed. No black jerseys. All right, friend of the show, Tim Riley, which I was just texting with Tim the other day.
He just moved back. He has a new moniker. He's no longer miserable in Minnesota, at least not yet. I don't know when he closes, but he's moving back to Georgia.
He is. That is correct. I expect to see.
He's going to be miserable and coming.
Expect to see. Expect to see Tim at some tailgates in the fall. Welcome back, Tim. What is your favorite saltwater beach to visit, and why? And he said typically controversy between Atlantic and Gulf beach goers.
Yeah, I would say that there's big controversy. I'm super torn on this one because I enjoy the Gulf more like as a beach. Mm-hmm. Like when I think of going to the beach, I think of the Gulf. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy the amenities and all of the things that are encapsulated in going to Hilton Head.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the water at Hilton Head. I'm not a huge fan of like the sand just is kind of depressing, but like at least it doesn't stick to you kind of thing. Like there's pros and cons of both. I also feel like I have to lug my crap like it's way further when I go to Hilton Head. You know what I mean? So
you got to get the Shibumi shade, John.
The Shibumi. I don't. Well, when I say I lug all my crap, I don't even take like a massive tailgate tent. I've tried that a couple times, and I gave up on it. But
all I gotta say is the Shibumi shade. It changed my life. Not a sponsor yet.
Yeah, I was about to say we need to get a sponsorship for that because that thing's like $400.
Yeah, it's expensive. I guess I gotta say Fripp, right? And that's where we go all the time. I agree with I haven't been to the Gulf in a while, but I do like going.
I don't know why you would. You got a free place to stay at Fripp.
Shout out Fripp Dog.
Shout out to Fripp Dog. Yeah. I will tell you this, Jim. There's not going to be very many Cube contests at the Gulf because your Atlantic situation sets up way nicer for Cube.
That's true. You get the right sand for it for the Cube. That's true. That's true. Fair enough. Or then he had actual football question. Who will have more touchdowns in September? Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, Ra Thomas, or Dominic Lovett?
I'm going to go with Bowers.
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go with Bowers too.
It's not boring if it's smart.
No, that's true. That's true. All right. Bobby Wilson, with all of the things that we said probably could have been an episode. So Bobby Wilson said, since it's off season, I would like to hear some good bourbon and golf discussions.
Yeah.
So he said, top 5 best bourbons and what makes them the best. Then he said for golf, favorite golf courses and why. Ever had a hole-in-one? If so, give the details. That was a lot. We can run through these. So what's your... Actually, we can start with this one. Have you ever had a hole-in-one?
I've never had a hole-in-one.
Okay.
I'm not a huge golfer, but I've never had a hole-in-one.
Okay. So I've had one hole-in-one.
Ooh, nice.
It was on Fripp Island. I was with my dad. We were playing just the two of us. Beautiful par 3 over like the water. It was on the ocean course. It's like the ocean is out to your left. But then you're also hitting over water from like one of the lagoons or whatever. So hit it. I didn't even know that it went in. So I hit it and it was a great shot, but it was rolling and then it stopped. And I had hit second. So my dad and I hopped in the golf cart and drove around. We pulled to the green. We're getting close to the green. And I looked at my dad and I said, "Where's my ball?" I said, "I don't see my ball." And he kind of joked, was like, "Well, maybe it went in the hole." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It probably rolled off the green and is in the lagoon." Whatever. And then he's like, "I don't know." He was like, "That was a really good shot." He's like, "There's no way that did it." He's like, I really think it might've gone in the hole. So we get to the green, we park, we slowly walk up to the hole. And I looked in the hole, ball was in the hole. And so, you know how I am. I absolutely flipped out, threw my hat in the air, running around. I'd made snow angels on the green. And then I'm freaking out. And then, we're celebrating or whatever. And these people pull up in a golf cart and they're like, "Do you have a hole-in-one?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We couldn't figure out what the heck was going on because you were celebrating on the green, not at the tee box." And someone was like, "Well, maybe he just made a long birdie putt." He was like, "That guy was making snow angels. That was a hole-in-one."
That guy was doing snow angels.
So that's my story. So I was with my dad. It was pretty cool.
Did
That's the
you
only
get
one.
anything? Did you get anything to commemorate it, or?
So I've got the scorecard, I've got the ball, and I've got a picture of my dad and I, and then also like so the people that were behind us that came to talk to us, they all posed for a picture too. So we've got like that whole group, and then I've got the ball and the scorecard. So I just haven't done it yet, but I've got it all in the spot. I want to do like a shadow box with the scorecard and then the ball.
That's awesome.
Actually, also the scorecard flew out of our golf cart when we drove away, and the people behind us picked it up and like
Oh,
brought it to us later. And they wrote on it. They wrote on it something about like beers on you at the clubhouse, which was
as is the tradition, right? Or
yes, that's the thing.
yeah, that's awesome.
That's another one of those.
Was it a par three?
Yeah. Par three.
Yeah.
It was a short par three. Like it wasn't long. It was not a long shot, but it was like tee boxes were like right up on the water, so it was like all water. You've got to clear the water, kind of deal. Which I usually choke in that.
Was it from the tips?
No. We were not playing from tips.
Okay.
I played a hole from the like a single hole from the tips last time I was down there, but no, I'm not that good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good story. That's a good story. I expect that Bobby is entertained. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Amazing. Let's see. Do you have what was your favorite golf course though? I think you have a favorite golf course, maybe.
The golf course? Yes, the Masters. I mean, I did get to go to the Masters this spring. That was definitely a solid experience. I guess maybe I imagine Bobby's probably thinking of it from a like actual golf situation, because mine was like a full experience, right, with all the eating and the the taste of the Masters and such.
Right.
Had
you ever been before? Was that your first time?
That was my first time. I've never been.
It
was a great experience, I guess. So the Masters was amazing, right? So you got everything. It definitely was everything that it was built to be. But I do think that the weather impacted some of the beauty, I guess, that like would typically have been there. I feel like because it had been so cold in Georgia. Like all of our bushes here. I know not everybody is local here to the central Georgia area or whatever, but like I don't know. Like when it froze, when there was a hard freeze here, not too long before the Masters or whatever, but like all the leaves like fell off of everything.
Yeah.
And like all the bushes and everything was just so impacted. But like everything about the Masters was everything that everybody talked about. It just wasn't quite as colorful, I feel like. But
gotcha.
That could have just been me being a pessimist about the weather. But but the Masters was great. Everything was perfect. Like everything was immaculate, and yeah, it was everything that everybody always talked about. So that would be the Masters. I would say so. Other Torrey Pines would be another one that I've watched and seen. Another one that I've been to is Oakmont Country Club up in Pittsburgh. I had the pleasure of being there, and it was very similar, like a little bit different than the Masters, but it was very similar to the Masters in that it was such an old traditional. I think it's like the oldest golf club in the country or something like that. But yeah, those are some of my top courses. Pebble Beach would be another one, because I've never been to Pebble Beach, but I've seen the pictures. But like playing, I'm trying to think of what the golf game was that I played on the computer, and it was always at Torrey Pines and Pebble Beach. Like those are like the
right.
It's kind of like people back in the day used to be like, yeah, my favorite team is Notre Dame because they were on the TV, and that was my favorite course because that's what I always played on the like MS Golf or something like that.
Not even on like Golden Tee or something. Amazing.
I mean, obviously we played Golden Tee, but I'm just saying, like when I was a kid, I would always play that CD. You'd pop the CD in the game or whatever.
yes, I know what you're about.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I guess for me, I just haven't been to as many. So like as far as what I've been to, I guess I would say same place where Greg and I saw Kirby speak, so Quail Hollow. So the Wells Fargo Championships at Quail Hollow every year here in Charlotte. It's a cool course. It's a nice course. 18 is beautiful with like a little creek running through it right up at the end. But so I've been to Wells Fargo several times, and then PGA Championship was there a few years back and went there. So that's another one. I definitely enjoy that as well. So
I guess I could also throw in Bear Lakes Country Club, which is where my grandfather had a membership to, and that's where I was like, I learned how to play golf at Bear Lakes Country Club in West Palm Beach.
cool, nice. How long will it take us to come up with top 5 best bourbons?
I'll make it really easy for you. It's Weller for me. I could pretty much maneuver them any which way, but I'd probably go with Weller 12 would be my favorite bourbon. Weller 107, full proof. And then I would put Special Reserve on there as well. Those are my favorites because they're weeded and they're super smooth. Like in that, when you take a drink, it doesn't burn. Like, I mean, there are probably some folks that are out there like, the Wellers are just like, blah, or tater bourbon or whatever. Because there's definitely a subset of bourbon folks that are out there that are like, oh, I'm a George T. Stagg, or I'm a what's another one like Stagg Junior or whatever, where the proof on these like Elijah Craig barrel proof, like these things are like 130 proof, 120 something proof, and like
Gotcha.
For me, like in order to, I mean, it's just me. Maybe I'm just a wuss, but like, in order for me to enjoy those, I'd have to let them marinate in some ice for a while. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And I've heard that like that's like actually the liquor store over by my house, they just have a private barrel for Elijah Craig, which those are usually pretty good. And I saw the proof on it; it was like 127 proof, and I was like, ugh. And he did tell me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of hot, it's kind of spicy. You have to kind of let it mellow in some ice, and it changes everything.
Yeah.
But like for me, like the Weller lineup is a fantastic line. I haven't had some of them. I don't think I've not had William LaRue Weller. I've heard that's really good. I've not had the CYPB or whatever it is, the white one. I've not had that. I've not heard fantastic things about that one. I have not had single barrel. Also haven't heard it like super, super fantastic, but like basically everybody's always looking for Weller 12, full proof, and 107. And 107 to me is like, it's just a fantastic complete bourbon. If I could find it every day, like that would be like an everyday drinker for me.
Yeah. Cannot find such things.
Yeah, no, you can't find hardly anything. Although I know he's probably listening. But Jordan, I know I'm going to get the Weller 12 from you.
Nice. I know Bobby's got Blanton's in his top 5.
I mean, Blanton's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Blanton's is 90 proof, right? So like that's like a Weller Special Reserve. Like the Weller Green label is 90 proof. So
Gotcha.
Pretty close there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what else outside of the Weller lineup, and obviously like Pappy is kind of. I mean, I frankly think that the Weller 12 is better than Pappy because I haven't had the 15 year. The 10 year was really good, and it was pretty close to to the Weller 12. But I actually think the Weller 12 is better, but that's just my opinion.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think of some of the other bourbons that I've had. I mean, I'm super boring because I find like what I like, and once I find that and I figure out how to get it, because like a lot of the stuff that you like, you can't really get.
Yeah,
especially for you being an ABC. So like once you find what you like, it's hard to like change, because you're like, if you're like me, like you're looking at some of those price points on some of those bourbons out there, and it's like, oh yeah, like I'd love to try some of these, newfangled bourbons that they have out there they're like marinated in all these different casks and stuff, but they're like $100. And I'm like, well, I've got Old Granddad 114 for $30 right here. And that's a fantastic bourbon.
Well, and then there's that one, remember that one that I brought to Georgia? It was like some sort of like wine cask finish, and like I'm like, it wasn't like $100 or anything.
The Jefferson's Reserve, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I didn't enjoy it. And it was like, and then I, like I don't know. So
You feel
yeah,
like it was a huge waste, yeah.
exactly.
Well, but what I will say about that is like as you try bourbon, as you sample it, and you try all the different finishes and all this nonsense that's kind of out there right now. I say nonsense, but like all these experimentations that people are doing. It's like I think yours was what was it? It was the Pritchard's.
Is it Pritchard's something?
Pritchard's something or other. Yeah, it was like marinated in like wine casks. So like for you probably are going to look at the next bourbon that's marinated in red wine or Cabernet casks, and you'll probably be like, I didn't like that last time, so I'm not going to try that again. And that's probably true. That's probably totally fair.
Yeah.
So like for me, like I've had stuff that's marinated, anything marinated in wine casks, I pretty much like red wine. Like I'll pretty much just cut it out.
Gotcha.
Anything that's in tequila barrels, I can't do tequila and bourbon, man. I don't know if you could do that, man, more power to you. But like the sherry cask and sherry and what's another one? Port barrel, like the Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Those types of bourbons that are finished and the things like that those are fantastic for me. So like for me, like I would say like an Angel's Envy, and I actually came across a Angel's Envy store pick when I was in Hilton Head recently. I'd never seen that before, but it was very expensive. I was not comfortable with the price point, but anything port barrel finished, I would highly recommend for anyone, because I haven't had anybody tell me that it was not good.
Got it. Nice. Let's see. Bobby did have a football question. How good will Brock Bowers be this season? Are we talking like Heisman type season? I think it's gonna be tough for a tight end to win the Heisman. I'll say that. Now
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Like I would say that you remember Leonard Pope?
Mm-hmm.
Like he had one of those seasons that was like, I feel like that Brock Bowers has shown that he's way more versatile.
Yeah.
So I think it ultimately is just going to depend on how much they give him the ball. And we've got all these weapons. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not convinced that Ra Thomas is the answer based on the fact that we haven't seen him, right? And he's been in the doghouse. So like, I don't know if Ra is really going to have an opportunity this year. Yeah. Dominic Lovett looks legit as advertised. So like if you have these wide receivers that are able to produce the way that they produce, Brock's chances of shining are probably going to be lower this year than in years past, because we have so many weapons that are around him.
I don't know, man. I mean, he's been so dynamic. People are going to put a lot of attention on him, but again, like people have tried to put focus on him in the past and they haven't been able to stop him. So I don't know. I think part of it too is like, let's be honest, like, he's not being delivered the mail anymore from the mailman. So part of this is on Carson Beck too. So we got to watch for that.
That's true. Everybody has their favorite receivers, right? So like, what is it? What, like Lad McConkey kind of came into his own, because wasn't it like Stetson was kind of thrown to Lad for a while, or no?
Good question.
Like, was he thrown to him as a backup? I can't remember. Like when he was doing backup duty.
Could have been.
I feel like that was right. Anyway, like let's say Carson Beck has a good relationship with Dominic Lovett, say, and then all of a sudden like he's just his go-to guy because they just vibe together, right?
Right.
They vibe, Jim, as the kids say.
I like it. So I don't know. All I have to say, I expect Brock Bowers to be doing Brock Bowers things. That includes end arounds for touchdowns. I mean, like just give the guy the ball. And I think he'll still do that. I think Heisman's probably lofty, but a lot of that's a function of the fact that it's a quarterback award. So,
we probably wouldn't do that question justice if we didn't mention the fact that we had Darnell Washington doing Darnell Washington things as a tight end. Mm-hmm. He was an extra blocker. So like that void is not there. So are we going to be asking Brock Bowers to do more blocking this year than he did last year, or in years past?
Yep. Yeah. How many, are we going to have as many two tight ends as we had in the past? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll see. That's gonna be something interesting to watch come fall for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Frip Dog, my dad checks in. What was your favorite pour at the lake from the bourbon in a box bar? If you know, you know. My dad had this like cardboard box with bourbon bottles in it. We were at the lake with them for Memorial Day weekend. I'm gonna go with Eagle Rare was my favorite pour as far as on the rocks goes. But I did have a Kentucky Mule that I made with Maker's Mark. That was excellent. But as far as like straight bourbons, I'm gonna go with the Eagle Rare was my favorite, Dad.
Regular old Maker's Mark, or is it the My God a Podcast special?
It
Maker's
was not
46.
It was not Maker's 46. It was standard Maker's Mark with ginger beer and lime. It was excellent.
Nice.
And then he said, with the cheeseburger debate this weekend. Can we make cheese?
Do we need to update the people on the cheeseburger debate?
We'll fill them in. Can we make Cheeseburger in Paradise the unofficial theme song of the summer? Some lyrics could trigger certain debaters. So two-thirds of the Smith brothers. So John Smith, aka John Tweets Sports, and his brother Daniel were on the timeline like trashing ketchup and lettuce on cheeseburgers, on hamburgers in general.
Yeah.
So Michael, I feel like was appalled like we were. So I want to call this only 2/3 of the Smith brothers. I had never heard such a thing. Like, I want it. John's out here saying the ketchup is an overrated condiment.
Yes.
So I don't know. Everyone has to let us know if there are other people that feel like this way about ketchup. Like,
the ketchup slander will not stand. I will not stand for the ketchup slander. Mostly because as a kid growing up, like that's like literally the only condiment I ever really used was ketchup.
Yeah. So
I mean, so here's what I think. I'm going to give them a little bit of grace. So here's my theory, and maybe they can correct me. So ketchup has this stigma of being like it basically like detacks from all the other flavors. So if ketchup is detected on your tongue, like you can't taste anything else. That's why people made fun of Trump when he said that he liked his steak with ketchup or something like that. It's like, any steak you eat is going to be completely like ruined, quote unquote, with ketchup. But I feel like it's kind of, I mean, like John, correct me if I'm wrong, but like people is that Munson barking? I feel like there's a lot of rustling going on your side.
Yeah, I think it was my chair squeaking. Sorry. I'm going to try to sit still.
Oh, you're fine. I feel like that, like, it's kind of like bourbon, right? Like you've got a ton of people that like to have it with ice. You have people that like to have it neat. You have people that like to have it in a Glencairn glass. There's folks that will judge you if you have it in a plastic cup. So like it doesn't change anything about the bourbon. It just is that you like it how you like it. And that's kind of how I feel about burgers. Like a burger, you can eat it any which way. There's people that will like curse you up and down for putting ketchup on a hot dog, particularly those from Chicago.
Right. Yes, I've seen that too.
I will absolutely eat. I mean, frankly, we had hot dogs today for lunch. I cooked the kids hot dogs for lunch, and every single one of them put ketchup on the hot dog, as did I. And
I put them both. And the key that I learned from Jeff Dantzler and David Johnston is you put the mustard on first, and then you put the ketchup over the mustard because dogs on top, red over yellow, Georgia over Georgia Tech.
I feel like you've mentioned that in the past too.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean. So, like, in my opinion, I think that I'll put ketchup on just about anything. I'll put ketchup on anything. Like, Wise Dog may clutch his pearls, but when I go to Waffle House, like I may cut up my omelet and mix up the hash browns and throw some ketchup on everything and just call it a day. You know? What I mean?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, I don't understand the ketchup slander. So that's what that was.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, and hey, some people even put pickles on their hamburgers. Sorry, John.
I was about to say.
I'm triggering you.
I was about to say that. No. You slide down and talk about relish and pickles. Like you're going to completely ruin. You're going to completely ruin everything for a lot of people. And I will tell you, I made this comment on Twitter, and I was surprised by the backup that I got. I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised about that.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I just let it go. I just let that slide. I don't even think I got engaged, but I did see it. I saw some other people. I was going to let you have your moment.
There's only a handful of situations where I've had a positive pickle experience, and I'll tell you one of them is Heirloom Barbecue in Atlanta.
Okay,
they make barbecue. It's a barbecue joint, right? It's like a Korean barbecue infusion or whatever.
Yes, it's an amazing place.
It's so good. The sandwiches and stuff. They make some pickles that do not taste like pickles.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right. We got one more question. Before we get to that, I did just want to give one last thanks to our season 3 sponsor. So this is technically episode 1 of season 4, but it was great working with John Canaris over at Oxyatime for season 3, being our presenting sponsor for season 3. They were a great partner. One last time, we'll definitely say go check them out. Oxyatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Great timepieces. I'm wearing mine right now. They had 2021 national championship collection for Georgia. They've got a 2022 collection for Georgia. Multiple faces, multiple bands, high quality Swiss watches. Definitely go check them out. Come with custom engraving on the back. All that stuff's included. So it's a great product. I know John and I both love ours. So just, once again, want to say thanks to John over at Oxyatime.
Absolutely. Let's run it back.
Amazing. And hey, if you want to get a custom watch for any organization you're involved with, you can reach out to them and they can work on that with you. All right. Last, we have UGA picks that go hard. So like if you like UGA and you like picks that go hard, you love this account. Be sure to go check it out. Mount Rushmore of the following categories. Moments from the 2022 season. What are your Mount Rushmore of 2022 season moments?
Man, it's got to be. I'd say for sure Stetson getting his walk off. I guess. Standing ovation for Stetson. I would say the Jalen Carter lift in the SEC championship.
That's good.
I would say A.G. Mitchell in the end zone versus Ohio State has got to be another one.
Oh, that's painful, but yes, not going to disagree.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It is what it is.
I mean, I guess I can make it honorable. That could be an honorable mention given the circumstances.
That's
but
fine.
maybe like the Brock Bowers reaching out for the first down situation.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
And Kirby Smart doing the wind up.
Nice. Okay, I'll go Kirby on that note. I'll go Kirby FDMF against South Carolina. I'm going to go shutting down Tennessee's greatest offense ever in the rain. Man, I think, dude, the Brock Bowers stretching out for the first down is so good. Yeah. I think I'll go that one. And yeah. So that was what? That was 3 for me. I'm trying to come up with other ones that you didn't say. Because I already copied one. All right. How about this one? The play that set up the A.D. Mitchell touchdown. The deep pass to Kearis Jackson. Yes.
Kearis with the big flex. You could also throw Arian Smith's touchdown out there, dancing by himself in the end zone.
And, I'll throw another one, maybe honorable mention, one we didn't mention. Christopher Smith having the presence of mind to look around and return a field goal for 95 yards for a touchdown in the SEC championship game.
That was pretty amazing. Yeah.
And then Mountain Rushmore of summertime foods. Who wants to know?
Oof, Mountain Rushmore of summertime foods. Watermelon's got to be on there for sure.
Yes.
I would say burgers have got to be on there too, with lettuce and ketchup. I mean, I don't cook a lot of barbecue in the summertime, but
Yeah.
I feel like barbecue is missing off that list for some reason. But like, we don't cook a lot of barbecue, or I don't eat a lot of barbecue in the summertime. It's mostly like a fall thing. I don't know why. I would say for the Powell family, the Friday night pizza at the pool is a it is goated, as Carter would say. It is goated.
Nice.
Pizza at the pool, watermelon, grilled corn would be another one. Another Powell staple.
All right, I'm gonna go. Shocking, there'll be a lot of overlap, but I'll start with the one that isn't overlap. Homemade ice cream. That's a big Wood family, and back higher up Caudell family. So my mom's side. I was always big. We used to always do homemade ice cream, and my grandparents like carport back in the day, and so we still do that. So we've got ice cream makers, so we love to do that in the summer. So that's my only variable.
What's the go-to flavor?
All right, so it's got to be so for me, this is my personal preference. It's
Peach,
got to
right?
be. Wow, see, I love a vanilla base, right? So I want to do stuff that starts with vanilla. If you mix a fruit in it, it does kind of take it over. So growing up, I would say peach. My mom's dad made like some serious peach ice cream that was like amazing. He also, this one will surprise you. He made a banana that was really good.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So he was really good at the fruit ones.
Ooh, you can make like a legit banana pudding ice cream.
Yeah. So like for stuff that we tend to do more like topping type stuff. So I love like just doing like Reese's Pieces, or we used to do Oreo, but with Kim being gluten free, we don't do that so much anymore. But Oreo is really good.
You can get a lot of legs out of vanilla ice cream. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love vanilla. So I'm big on vanilla base. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. You could like really like put Hunter into peak form for the Masters by making a peach ice cream sandwich. Just get some sugar cookie and some peach ice cream, and like really go to town on that.
All right, I'm gonna have to do that this summer. Noted.
Shout out to the rest of my family who missed out on the peach ice cream sandwiches at the Masters, because I literally got one of the last ones on the day that we went.
Nice.
I did not know, by the way. It was not on purpose. I did not know. I just happened to be in line.
All right, so to round out my Mount Rushmore, so I said homemade ice cream. I gotta have hamburgers. I agree with watermelon. Barbecue. I guess I could do barbecue, but like
hot dogs. How about hot dogs?
Yeah. For me, my family isn't as big in hot dogs, but I'll say hot dogs, because for me, barbecue is more of a fall and winter thing for me.
I agree.
Is when I usually make it. So
yeah, because you're like you gotta like, you know. I mean, I assume you have to like babysit it a little bit and like constantly going out there in the 90-degree heat is not ideal.
Yeah. Agreed. Fair enough. All right. Well, that rounds it out for the listener questions. So thanks everyone for reaching out. You know, we kind of posted on a whim on Wednesday afternoon. Hey, we're recording, and you guys didn't disappoint and always come with the great questions. So definitely appreciate that. Well, man, it was good. It was good just catching up. We have talked in between. We did talk once, which I did mention this. It was hilarious when like we had a non-podcasting conversation where I just like called you on the phone. And I think we both, at least like I had reactions from like my family, like, who are you on the phone with? I was like, I'm talking to John. And they looked at me weird. Like, you're not podcasting? I was like, well, we're allowed to just talk.
We are friends.
Man.
We can do more than text and podcast.
That's pretty funny. So, but that was still a while ago. So it's good to catch up.
Yeah, man. We need football. We need football in a bad way. I feel like in some circles. When was it? I feel like this came up. Like we were talking about this. Like we need football bad. Like, because we were talking about something stupid on Twitter. I feel like was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was either, but you said it and I agreed. I'm sure it was something. When you start to see the things swirl online, then you're like, we need football.
Yeah, seriously. Like when we're waiting with bated breath on the next Lane Kiffin tweet, that's when you know you need.
Maybe that's what it was about. Was it about all the photoshops, all the edits of like the only school with insert whatever it was?
I actually really appreciated that because that was hilarious. We haven't talked about that, but like.
So what started it? It was Auburn, right? It was Auburn.
It's always Auburn.
The only school with the Buckies. Isn't that what it was? Wasn't that the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
A recruit. It wasn't even like the.
It wasn't.
They were just guilty by association. Like some recruit, like I guess, tweeted a graphic that either Auburn made or someone made look like Auburn made.
Right.
About a Buckies that was the only school in the SEC with the Buckies, and I just laughed. I just laughed so hard at that. And then everybody, like, it kind of caught fire from there. Oh, Graham basically said, hey, we need to have someone do a Little Italy in Athens on this one. And John was so kind to oblige with the Brock Bowers Little Italy mashup. And then I was sad to find that there's another one in Auburn, but we just kind of ignored that.
we don't need to involve facts in these kinds of graphics.
Yes. Yeah. I will say that I've been to Auburn multiple times and I've never heard anybody talk about Little Italy there.
Well, yeah, the one in Athens was the original, and it opened like my senior year of high school, I think. So it opened like in like late 90s. And that was the first one. And then they ended up franchising it. So I don't know how old the other ones are. But apparently there was one in Alabama too, and it closed, I think. So they can't claim it anymore. But yeah, unfortunately there actually is one in Auburn, but whatever. Yeah. We don't need facts. That was hilarious.
We don't need facts. Yeah.
I can't even remember what the Lane Kiffin one said, but the one that Lane tweeted out was incredible.
It was the only school in the SEC with a chevron that has chicken on a stick or something like that.
Oh, that's incredible.
Which I guess that like Ed Orgeron had also like mentioned in an LSU press conference of all things, but it started everything. All the things start with Lane Kiffin talking smack about stuff.
Amazing.
Like he posted something today about like he took a picture and all of a sudden it became who can complete this obstacle course, because he took a picture on the beach and it was like one of those like in the ocean obstacle courses that the kids usually do, and it's like what SEC coach can complete this obstacle course.
Amazing. I did see that too. I don't know. I like having Lane in the SEC, like new Lane. Like Tennessee Lane was lame, but now I find him to be pretty funny. So
Tennessee Lane Kiffin was awful. I would also say that USC Lane Kiffin is terrible. I feel like he's found his home. Yeah. He's kind of filled the void that used to be there with the pirate. I will say he also tweeted out a picture of a pirate ship recently, which was also pretty cool.
That was awesome. Yep. Man, Lane bringing the Twitter content.
The off season, because it's off season. Like nobody else is having any fun with this stuff. Like you got Nick Saban going to Italy for the summer, basically, and like just taking. Apparently, he does have time for that. And then you've got Kirby Smart just collecting 5-star recruits. Like it's kind of like rinse repeat. So like Lane's the only one having fun out there. It feels like.
So good. Fair enough. All right. Well, we'll have to have less time lapse between now and our next episode. So we'll have to make sure that happens.
Agreed. We need to have some folks on. We need to dust off the ideas sheet and actually execute on it.
Fair enough. Awesome, man. All right. Well, it was fun catching up. Thanks again, everyone, for sending the questions. That was a lot of fun catching up and going through those as well.
And what's the day count?
Days to count down to kickoff?
Yeah, we're
94. We're at 94 days.
We're 94 days.
Yep. Yep.
Who's 94?
You know, so I didn't do a countdown to kickoff thread like we had last year. I was thinking about it. Like, I was trying to do something different than just like players. I was starting to think through like things that happened in that year. So like 94 was like Zaire's last year. That team had a bit of a rough go, but
we're Quentin Moses days away.
Oh, that's a good one. R.I.P. That's a good one. I like that one. Good goal.
On that note, we'll sync back up on better terms or something.
Yeah. No.
Go dogs.
Checks out. Go dogs.